We're going live now. Okay. Hey, everybody. We're here live again. Nobody's pleased with this. Just to explain, my internet connection went out briefly. What's that music? Anyway, my internet connection went out briefly, which means the whole stream went out, which means Instagram went out, means our recordings went out for a hot sec. And I'm back now. And Charity's internet connection ran out. And now it's back again, too. And so everybody's like, now everybody lost the will to live because of this.
It's all over.
How do you think I feel?
Ruined. It's ruined.
It's ruined. Everybody, I'm going home.
I'm flipping a table.
Wind, blow me to bed.
Like it's been blowing.
Blow me to bed.
Anyways. All right. So you're here. I'm glad you're here, though. Whoever's here, I'm glad you're here. Whoever that is. And now all the chat messages on the screen are just irrelevant right now.
Yep.
Okay, so Charity, you were about to say something about, and I forgot what it even was. Did you remember?
You think I'm gonna remember?
Oh, come on, man.
Something that was like 15 minutes ago?
God,
Right.
that was ancient history, bro. That was another lifetime ago. Okay, so let's just go back to... He was defending you. Okay, so... Whoa. Gentle there.
Ow. Ouchie.
Yeah, I like on top of all this, I don't know what else there is to talk about, to be honest with you.
So
Me
I'm
neither.
always talking about like the little things, the little things that make a difference in a show. And to me, one of the things that stood out was when Dave put his hands on the cage railing, and then Ellie put her hands on his, and he was kind of like, we can do it together. And that little, she goes, oh, and that little oh, the way she said it, and I know it was the same in the game. It was almost word for word from the game.
Huh.
But the way she said it was just like, you weren't really sure, like, does she really get it? Or like she gets it and she's just playing him? Like, it was just
And like,
perfect.
is she interested?
It was such a nice little touch. And I just love the little things that actors do. It's just those little moments.
On that same note, when he's trying to explain that he has to take care of his people, his voice kind of breaks. Like, on the one hand, it looks like, and I wish I remember the exact line about, like, having to make the hard decisions to keep his people fed. And like in the beginning of his spiel, like near the beginning, his voice kind of breaks, and it could be registered as he's just trying to remember his lines, and they kind of went with that line as the final cut, or it's like intentional, like there's like he's feeling behind it. There's something behind those words that make it so that he actually cares or gives a shit. Later on, you figure out it's not. Whatever. And he's, like you said, he's kind of like a sociopath. He plays the part he needs to play in order to fit into society, right? And there is something to the idea of maybe some people believing in their own bullshit. Like when you play the part so much, you're invested in the character that you're putting up. And that's probably the most scary version of someone ever, is when they believe their own nonsense. I mean, people lie to themselves all the time to do all sorts of things, but a sociopath, it's kind of like, well, when does that switch flip? Which takes us to when Ellie throws the cinders at the curtains. Like, we had mentioned it in the reaction live stream, the post-watch live stream, but there was something to how, like, very telling when David chooses to go for his prey over his own preservation. And all of a sudden the comparing himself as a shepherd with a flock of sheep, all of a sudden you see him for who he is. He's the wolf who's shepherding the sheep. And all of a sudden, all of that comes bare, right? It's like he's just the guy.
Extra funny because he's eating them.
But exactly, who is he like?
Nothing
He's
I
like,
like more than a nice mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich.
wait.
It's a Princess Bride.
Right, Princess Bride. Okay, yeah, thank you. I'm like, oh, wait, where is that from? But who was that? A lot. That was like,
What's interesting is that so the story of the Good Shepherd is a parable that's told by Jesus in the Bible in John 10. And so that's interesting because John also wrote Revelation, and that's what he's reading from at the beginning. So that's just a little tie-in there. I don't even know if it was an intentional tie-in, but the Good Shepherd is a parable about that. Essentially, Jesus was saying, I am the shepherd, and my sheep will know me, and they'll know my voice. And whoever comes over the side of the fence instead of through the gate is a thief. And there will be wolves that will come and try to attack my sheep.
Beware. What was the movie that said beware of the wolves among the lambs? Something like that. And it's not Silence of the Lambs. Before you get started, beware, I send you out as sheep amongst the wolves. What was that movie? What was that? It's like bothering me now. You're thinking the same thing too, Sharon D, right?
Yeah, it's bothering me too.
Well, sorry, but you guys sung the Muppet theme song throughout the time I was trying to get the YouTube stream back. And Walking Dead Eternal says I shouted through this episode a lot at David's arc in the episode in anger. But
that's fair.
But
He's
Walking Dead Eternal, did you shout because you didn't like the depiction of David, or did you shout because you were like really invested in like, fuck this guy? He's just like, why won't you die? Inquiring minds, dude. Inquiring minds, Walking Dead Eternal. Inquiring minds. Let's see if I can make this bigger. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Ooh, pretty. Okay. Let's see. What else? And
it was The Devil's Advocate.
Yes, it's another one of my favorite movies, by the way.
I do love that movie. Behold, I send you out as sheep amidst the wolves.
Right. Do you know where I was when I first saw that movie? I'm going to tell you, don't worry.
Church.
Close. Probably your church, because I was in...
herding sheep.
I was in Michigan, actually, when I watched that movie first. Visiting a friend out in Central Michigan University. It's just weird. It was like an autumn day, too. It was just the perfect weather to watch that movie.
You're at CMU?
Yeah.
That's actually not that far from me.
Maybe I knew you before I knew you. Then again,
This is a real sliding doors situation. Here.
But then again, here's the thing. I'm like, what, 3-4 years older than you? I forgot.
Yes.
Wait. I'll have a side conversation, but then you'd be like 14 or 15 at the time, which would be weird. And then you'd have the right to call me Preacher David.
Which means Father Dave would be right up Father Dave's alley.
I knew.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Ellie, I knew you before I knew you. Anyway, sorry. Sorry, you were saying,
I
Rachel?
didn't party at CMU until I was like 17. So yeah, a little before my time.
Close, though. Walking Dead Eternal says, I was like, who the heck is he to hit the little girl? Right. Hence, like, starting off with a bang. I like what you said, Bridget, at the beginning of the episode. It's like right out of the gate, they kind of wanted you to know. They wanted you to know who this guy was, so you wouldn't be left wondering too much. But then as the episode unfolds, the cannibalism, the wanting to... It really contextualizes him slapping the girl, because now you wonder if she's fallen out of favor with him, if he does this to other children too, or does he do it to just equals? Like, it's not something I want to think about. Really.
It did cross my mind, though. Once we knew he was like really creepy, it did cross my mind. And also, I changed my tune a little bit because last week, no.
The
last time I watched this episode, the first time I watched this episode, I had I thought in my head like they're just weak. These people that are under David, they're just weak. They don't know how to survive on their own. They're relying on someone stronger than them. Yada yada. Just this like really horrible perspective that I had about these people. Like they're weak. They wouldn't even know what to do. They might as well just be dead because like
they're not Marshall.
It's like horrible. It was like a horrible thought. We talked about it after the stream because I was like, I don't want to say this on camera because I sound awful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying it now because I changed my tune about it. Because now I think of it from the perspective of what if these people were just afraid of him?
Yeah.
Like he just happened to fall into power there.
Well,
Right?
they chose him.
They voted him, but did they? That's the narrative he gave you. Is that really the narrative?
Ah, okay. I can dig it.
So now I'm kind of like, okay, well, maybe they're just afraid. And maybe this is like an abuser and his victims, right?
Yeah.
They're like incapable of leaving. They're too afraid to leave.
Well, and isn't that the case with anybody that comes across someone like that? Is that and you're in a desperate state, and it's the end of the world, and he says it best near the end. He says, "These people need God," or whatever that. He kind of says it like that. He's like, "These people need gods. They're my sheep. I'm surrounded by sheep, and I just need a friend."
Well, he was the ultimate wolf, right? Like in religious context too. Because when Jesus tells this parable in John 10, he's talking about false prophets and people being worked through by the devil, essentially. But he's talking primarily about false prophets and those who will come and trick you out of your faith. They'll get you to follow something else.
Right.
And that's exactly what he does. He comes in and he's like, "Oh yeah, I used to be a teacher. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I was with kids, and
Ew.
now I'm a preacher. And why? Because they rhyme, kind of. And I hated him from that point on. But anyway, I was like, really, dude,
Really, bro?
and so now he's got this group of people that he's leading with this like garbage that he's spewing as though it's the word of God.
Right. So he's a particular nasty wolf. Just because like he's not only gross and horrible and frightening, but he's blasphemous too. Because
I mean,
he's leading people into sin and it's.
Why don't? It's
But-
not so much that as it is like he's using God's word for his own
Personal gain.
insidious purposes, and that's just. Ugh, especially with the pedophilia, dude. Come on, it's like so gross.
Can you not with the pedophilia? Can you?
Can you just not?
Yeah, it's the reason why.
And I know, like, everyone will be like, "That's intertwined in all religion." More, more. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, I just don't. But
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't want to touch on that at all. But like, it's just it's so insidious. It bothers me so much, especially as a Christian and especially someone who works in education. Like everything about this guy, just I would kill him in this world. I would just straight up kill him.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have even gotten as far as they did. Just right at the beginning.
But-
as soon as he agreed that because preacher rhymed with teacher, that's when I want to kill them.
It's not as much the pedophilia or the cannibalism.
That you agreed to that. That's so stupid.
Right.
You're not
Horrible
funny.
rhyme schemes.
What kind of educator are you?
Dead.
A deducator. Yeah, I hate
It's
myself too.
It's upsetting to. I mean, people have twisted religion to be able to do stuff like this in history.
Well, and it's
And I don't like getting a reminder of it, I guess. Like getting that reminder on TV and when I'm trying to like escape reality, it really grinds my gears.
well. Then doesn't see? I'm glad you brought this up because doesn't it go to the overarching theme of when the world falls and there are people who are in positions of power, like let's say even the Fireflies, but Fedra, now this guy amongst these people, and what is the Silver Lake Resort community, but not like a micro Fedra, right? They're safe behind walls, etc. Population is scarce, they're dwindling, food's kind of like eh. And so people with power in this world, it's hard. It's almost as if to say it's hard not to grab that ring when you have that power. And even easier to justify the bad behavior like to be able to blame that bad behavior on a crisis, let's say. Like absolute power corrupting, absolutely. It really says a lot about like the world. And it really goes back to some of the things that I've said. It was like, you know, the show has done a great job of illustrating, well, is humanity worth saving? And like by all accounts so far, it feels like that's not the case.
No, we are not worth saving.
I don't believe that.
I often agree. No, I often agree when we talk about
Not
this.
at all.
Rachel and I are usually like, no, people suck. They're the worst.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will continue that thought, but let me read some comments before, because first of all, I want to say this much. Even with the internet issues and the stream cutting out and having to start a new one, and then I'm going to have to combine the two in the playlist, which is not hard, but thank you for showing up in this renewed, re-energized stream that we had to start over again.
You're welcome. I really wanted to go to bed.
And being in the chat. Well, listen, you know,
He's not talking to me.
you gotta.
He's talking to you guys.
No,
in
I'm
the
talking
chat.
to. No, I abuse the shit out of you. This is known. God, I am the David, and I abuse.
He is David.
Beware, I send you as sheep amongst the Dave. So anyway, Thomas says you're back. You need to start over because I'm here now. Well, we did. Walking Dead Eternal says shouts out to Ellie for ending him. Yeah. Sharon D also in the chat says I give up on my internet. Thomas says Ellie should have married him and ruled the world. Can I dwell on that for a hot sec? I mean, I knew we all knew that wasn't going to happen, but like for a hot sec, when he says over and over again, you got to face reality, kid. You are all alone. And her still choosing, I don't care if I'm all alone. I'm going to scratch and claw and fight until the very end, which continues the theme from the last episode, is that you have to make every second count. I thought that was pretty... I like that they... Like the deer, you don't waste a thing. You know, you eat the bone, you get make the stew and whatever. You don't waste any part of the deer or the cow, whatever you're eating. So they took the theme from the last episode, they continued to port it into this episode, and I like that they kept it. She's like trying to unscrew bolts and trying to go up to the window and try to get out. She's trying to do everything she can. She's checking the hinges and all that stuff, trying to see where the weak spot is. She's not giving up. So I just thought for a hot second, like with all the talk about her and Joel being companions and father-daughter figure and whatnot, like, is there a world in which like he says, "Oh, he dead," and she just kind of gives up, and that's your answer? And I thought that was chef's kiss. What about you guys? No, you're done. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. I checked out.
Tyranny says creature rhymes too, like Tormund. I know she meant Tormund and Brienne. Make giant babies. You're the world. Okay. And Thomas says Daddy Marinara. Anyway,
I'm confused.
he seems like he could be a professor in some colleges these days. Not touching that one. Walking Dead Eternal says, sorry I wasn't in the last stream. I was not feeling well. Well, you're here now, which makes it seem... Thank you. You're the best.
You're
Why?
human. You don't have to... You're not a robot like Dave.
Yeah, I don't make these people come on when they're sick. I say,
Dave doesn't
please,
sleep.
you're
He
going to
never
sniff.
gets sick. He's a robot. He just needs some oil every now and then.
Right. There's vitamin C that drops from the ceiling every now and again.
There's
Which is
this
smoking
old...
hot wife administers.
Right.
Yeah, there's this old
She pipes it into
sci-fi
the room.
movie called Forbidden Planet, and
Yeah.
there's a robot in it, and they like can't find the robot for a while, and it makes them seem really suspicious. And when he shows up, they're like, "Where were you?" You know, it's old, so it's like really over the top. And the robot's like, "I was giving myself an oil job." And that's Dave.
Yeah. But then I came
I was
back.
checking my oil.
And then we did a podcast. Beep, bop, bork. Thomas says,
It's like the worst robot costume. It's so bad.
well, Thomas says, your amateur technical skills aren't worthy of my humor. You son of a bitch. and that's when I took it personally.
That's his livelihood.
It's my livelihood, son. You're a cheap imitation of a radiologist, Thomas. Oh, radio tech. Sorry. My bad. David and Liana, giant killers. Yeah, no shit. Okay, so I don't know. Let's scour my notes. Why don't I go to the look ahead?
Yeah, no oil job.
No, yeah, well, we're funny sometimes.
An oil job.
In the look ahead, it looks like they're in Nevada because of the Reno sign on the highway. I thought that was kind of cool. It's like we're going somewhere. We're past this point. And you do get a little glimpse of Ashley Johnson, pregnant with, who plays. Somebody is pregnant and being chased by an infected. I recovered, but this is Ashley Johnson.
Oh, you get that preview.
Yeah, but I won't say who it is.
Okay.
Those who know,
we're not talking about it.
those who know, know, and those who don't will be happy.
We already talked about her.
We didn't really.
But we didn't.
We didn't
not-
really.
I said it.
If anyone paying attention, I know who that is because you guys said it already.
Oh yeah, no.
Anyone paying attention?
I said it was pre-stream. Nobody was on except for me and Dave, and I told Dave what I know about her role in the show, and I'm not gonna say it to anybody now.
So for the blog, I actually put it down in the last episode. I didn't say it. There's an article that links to that. Whatever. That doesn't matter. Oh, so think of something else to say while I say this. In the reaction, the post-show live stream that we did after the episode airs and we talk about our feelings and things, I mentioned that in our shop, you can download a tribute I made to Long, Long Time, as well as Harry Chapin's Any Old Kind of Day. And I got obsessive last night, and I decided to not completely redo it, but I literally opened a new file and did it from scratch. And I just re-uploaded it too. And I also sent it to both Takira and Walani, who had jumped on it right away when I posted it. So if you're interested, I did make a mashup of Long, Long Time by Linda Ronstadt and Harry Chapin's Any Old Kind of Day. I redid it. It's up in our Ko-fi shop. It's ko-fi.com/squawkingdead/shop. And it's free. It is pay what you want, but it is technically free. You can go there now. You don't have to even follow us there or anything like that. You can just grab it now. It's a little longer because I kind of made it flow really just a lot more nicely, and you can hear it is a lot closer to what I thought it was in my head, and so I feel a lot better about it. It's just one of those things where like when you do something and you need to get something out, and it just has to get close enough to the way you feel about it in your head, and it's really good in IMHO, and I've been playing it over and over again because I like it that much. So it's all about me.
I literally saw the message. I saw the message like, "Whoa, I did this thing."
I did this
like,
thing. I
"Hey,
did it again.
There's other things to be working on. What are you doing right now?"
It's called mental health.
It's called
Yeah.
hyperfixation.
Hey man, listen. This is like a job right now. This thing that we're doing right now. This is for pleasure. And actually, if people find it really interesting, and I really would like to know what you think, please let me know, because it's just a lot better than the first one. You'll never hear the first one now because I've replaced it in the Ko-fi shop.
It's like, good thing I didn't waste my time with that first one. It's garbage.
It's
Apparently.
garbage. So please let me know what you
Also,
think. If you like when
while
Linda
you were
Ronstadt or
doing
Harry
that,
Chapin.
While you were saying all of that, how was I supposed to think of something else to talk about? I was trying to listen to you. You're like, think of what you want to say.
You don't like it when you don't listen to me. You do. No, you don't want me to listen to
your
you.
Mind, damn it.
I don't know, man. You're supposed to feel you're a grown ass woman. You figure it out. I'm not gonna tell you here to tell you what to do.
Instead, Dave.
Well, no, I didn't want you to.
Well, damn bad happened.
I am just as sociopathic as David on the show. I'm just manipulating you. I am twisting you to my will.
It's not working, I don't think.
But I did like let's go on the note of David and being creepy. The insistence on wanting to get her name as a means to, and this is so, I don't talk often about this, but people really are more susceptible to suggestion than you think. Our inherent nature is to believe what we hear. We kind of did bring this up when we were talking about the broken glass theory. Like once something has been seen, it cannot be unseen. That sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Right? But the truth is, and Jonathan Swift talks about this in A Decent Proposal. And it's funny because A Decent Proposal talks about ending the famine by eating children. And you're talking about a guy who is a preacher. He is I forgot exactly what he was, but he's in the clergy,
I thought
right?
he was an economist.
Jonathan Swift, no, he was a priest, but he also wrote
Oh, my bad. I
satire.
was thinking of somebody else, I guess.
No, this guy is from the olden times where there were plagues and famines and stuff. So
I remember it.
it's one of my
I
favorite
remember the
pieces because
literary
he's
work.
basically making this indecent proposal about, okay, if they want to end human suffering, let's just start by eating children, and et cetera, et cetera. But something that he says in the midst of writing this piece is that he kind of explains what the written word is, and he says something to the effect of, the written word is a very powerful thing, and then once you read it, your mind automatically absorbs it, not as truth, but at least a possibility. And so when David is asking the names of the people he talks to, James, and then tries to get Ellie's name several times, it's a means for him to wear her down mentally, or at least
it's control.
you're right, to be more to increase the suggestibility of Ellie, let's say. And so it's not something we often talk about. And you're wondering to yourself, why does he keep asking her name? Why? Because he wants to know his prey. He wants to give his prey a name, in a sense. It's just kind of interesting to see that work.
Well, it's a control thing. He doesn't want her to withhold anything.
Yeah.
By withholding her name, is still in control, and that drives him crazy because he's the kind of person that needs to have control. Because he's a sociopath and creepy and everything.
I would have laughed so hard if he was like, yeah, we have penicillin. And what was your name again? Whatever. And, James will go get it, and it'll be right here. And when you get back, we'll split the deer. But what was your name? No? All right. Anyway. He just keeps doing that. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
That's interesting, Thomas.
Thomas says,
How
hold
to
on.
Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Everyone's favorite word in the language is his or her name.
Nice. Nicely done.
Really? It creeps me out when I hear people say my name.
Because you think you're in
I don't
trouble.
like it. I especially hate it when strangers say my name. Like, I forget that I wear a name tag at work, and people I don't know say my name, and I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Rachel?
Yeah, I don't like
Yes.
it.
But I think
Not at
everybody's
all.
like that, though, right? Aren't they? Like, if somebody calls out your name that you're not familiar with the voice, not familiar with the face, you're like automatically distrustful, right? Don't worry, I was talking over you. It's fine.
Yeah, because they're a wolf.
They're an outsider.
Yeah.
This is his way of kind of coaxing her into being the insider, in a sense.
Well, yeah, people
To belong.
People earn your trust by using your name or, making eye contact, and that's why he was doing all of that.
And the
He was doing
hands,
all
like
of the,
showing him his hands, like his bare hands, his open
he's doing
palms.
all of the classic psychology-ridden stuff that you do when you're trying to manipulate people.
Yeah. But I was going to say something about that, but it just flew. And now I'm starting to feel it. Okay. Thomas says, except Rachel, her favorite word is the camp. Sharondy says, I love it when people say my name right, because that's Sharondy, and people say Sharandy or Sharandy or Sharandy. That's, oof. It's like you're so close. Why didn't you get it right?
I know. I try to say people's names how they say their name. When I hear somebody say their name a certain way, that's how I'm going to say it.
Yeah, I do too. But you know what? Like, I've learned to also, like, if I'm gonna not fuck it up, like if I'm gonna fuck it up, at least lean into it and then fix it later. I think we've talked about this too. It's like I'm always nervous about that, but
I am too. They say it, and then I'm immediately like, how did they say it? Is it the other? Is it Alicia, or is it Alyssa, or is it Alicia?
is it Eliza?
Get,
Is it
all
Eliza?
fancy in my head.
Oh my gosh, I felt horrible when I found out I was saying Elisa's name wrong for so long.
That's
Ooh,
why
I felt that.
we're not dwelling on that. Ouch.
But I think
I'm a pro.
and I would assume because it's the same way I've come to feel about my own name. People spell my name incorrectly constantly. It's spelled incorrectly
Oh,
in
like Thomas did earlier.
chat right now. And it doesn't like, I don't care anymore. I used to correct people, and now when I go somewhere and they're like, "And what's your name?" I'm like, "Bridget." And then they pause and I go, "You can spell it however you want. I don't care."
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Because like I'll
don't
answer
know.
to it. You're going to say it, so who cares?
I mean, how many people say
Have I
cameo
ever
wrong?
seen your name written down? How do you spell your name? Now I
Brid-
don't know
you
if
say
I'm
it all the
spelling it right.
time, Rach. You say Bridge T.
Bridget.
Yeah.
You used to always spell it
T.
Bridge,
Oh, okay.
and then you
Okay,
put the
so
T in
so
capital.
I was right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so I was right. Okay.
but
My name is spelled weird too, and everybody spells it wrong because I have
you
that
could tell
extra
that
A
like
in
when
there.
you spelled out
Yeah.
Bridget's name, you were doing it so that you'd remember how to spell it. You were like, oh, it's because it's Bridge T. Yeah. You even called her Bridge T a couple times, like
Yeah.
not thinking that I
I
would
called it
that
Bridge T
somebody
for a
would
long
catch
time.
it. I need to get this
It was
right.
actually an accident. It was actually an accident the first time my phone did that, and then I'm like, you know what? I like it. I'm gonna keep it. Bridge T.
Right.
Yep.
Because she spills the tea on the bridge.
Yeah, so I imagine for her, she's like, at this point in her life, she's probably like, it's fine. You can call me whatever you want.
Right.
So I'll probably answer.
Just don't
to
call
it.
me honey.
Isn't that
Just
the
don't
standard
call me
way to,
Shirley.
to spell Bridget? Isn't that the common way to spell it? Was it?
My spelling?
Yeah.
It is. It's not the Gaelic way, but it's the Irish way. If that makes sense. The Gaelic way is Bridgid. It's
Right.
Brigid.
Bridget.
And the
right.
Irish way is Bridget, the way I spell it, and then the French way is Brigitte,
Brigitte.
with the double T and the E at the end, and then the other Bridget, the better Bridget, spells it even differently.
Arguable. Everybody knows too many Bridgets. Bridget Canalis. Dukakis.
Who was that?
I don't know, man. Tom, your name is Strawberry Thomas. Sharon D and Thomas are having a whole side conversation right now. I like Tom what Thomas is right now. The Irish spelling of Bridget is and he's kind of right.
Yeah.
If you ever seen it spelled the real Irish way, like
That's how
Siobhan.
that's how Bridget is spelled, but it's pronounced Bridget.
You know what the worst? Okay, the worst Irish name is
Siobhan.
Quiva, and you'll never guess how it's spelled. Quiva.
PRL.
No, you're already wrong. It's like 11 consonants and like 2 vowels.
So it's
My
C-
cousin's cousin is
No, it's
named
an
Siobhan,
abomination.
and
You've already got it
and
wrong.
It's Siobhan.
Right,
Because the
Siobhan.
BH
Siobhan.
is like a V sound.
Yeah.
In
BH in
Gaelic.
Gaelic
I
is,
did
yeah.
take I was doing Irish Gaelic on Duolingo for a little bit there.
It's tough.
I was also learning
is tough.
on Rosetta Stone. I was learning Gaelic.
It's hard. It's a hard language, but
Very hard.
yeah, I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I
And
wanted to know how to
The
pronounce
Irish,
my,
Thomas. The
my
Irish
people's-
decided that.
my people's
The Gaelic.
language.
Yep. I know. I wanted to too. I still do. If I'm being honest, I want to
I
have
just-
more.
I
I just
just
don't have the
stopped.
time right now.
I just stopped being a gremlin and doing my dishes and laundry instead, and now I don't have time for
pre-show
Duolingo.
conversation. You weren't there, Rachel. That's really unfair. Okay. Poor Rachel. She wasn't here. And poor
Maddie
audience. They
asked
don't know
us
what you're talking about.
How long have you been streaming so far tonight?
Duh.
Well, the first
Which
our stream got
ever.
interrupted, and the first stream went on for like 40 minutes almost, and now I don't know how long this one's.
Well, I could tell from the recording so far 42 minutes, but even half of that is 15 minutes of that was trying to figure out how to get back on, and so it's just not.
So like an hour and 20 minutes ish.
Yeah,
No,
and it's
an
gonna
hour
be
and 10.
it's gonna slim down to like 50 minutes, I think, at this point. So, you know what? I don't even think you spelled that right, Thomas. It's Pogmahon, and it's like it's go fuck yourself, essentially, in Irish. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what else there's. Again, I said this at the beginning of the episode. It's like it's pretty cut and dry. It's kind of like you had to be there and watch it, and I mean, you can only do so much. Right. And Thomas is right. In 17 minutes of The Last of Us
Look,
chat, we talked about the Muppets.
You enjoy it because otherwise, why are you here? So
That's a really
There's
good
that.
question, actually. Let's explore that a little bit
there's that.
more. Where are you?
'Cause
You know what? To be
And I'll
fair,
have you know, this is water in this giant bucket. Thank you.
In your paint can.
if you say so. In your pink can.
This is water in my paint can.
No,
Thank
to
you.
be serious though, Thomas in his own way makes the show better because, first of all, the most laughs in the last full breakdown of the short jokes and the short puns.
TikTok.
Technically, I made it better. Oh, hey, Maddie. Oh, we went through your point. This is
Maddie.
mentally.
Maddie, you're the one with the excellent point.
No, and so Maddie, just to give you an idea of what happened, for the first time in a very long time, we went live, and the stream, my whole internet went out, and we had to go on again. So you are catching us,
Explain this.
but we actually brought up your point before to the amusement of many on here. Basically, the theory of, did the guys want to take out Ellie after getting booted off the horse as a form of mercy? And we were all very impressed with your point. So you're welcome.
great.
Thank you.
You're,
You're
gold.
You're thank
Very
you.
good point.
Stay golden, pony boy.
Every word of that was a struggle.
It's like you knew that you should stop, but you just had to keep going.
I was like, I'm gonna try it. I don't
I
like
went
it.
this far. I
I'm
went this
still,
far.
I'm still
Just
gonna go.
finish
I
strong.
still gotta go. I just gotta go for it.
Well, Maddie likes it. It's
Finish
the
strong.
Outsiders. She got the reference. There you go. Mission accomplished.
Thanks, Maddie. I'm sorry. It sounded like I was just
We
Nope.
love
having an
you too.
aneurysm.
You don't have
while
to
I was
apologize
saying
for
it.
gold, Bridget.
Stay
Ever.
golden.
Well, and now
I
Thomas
know,
is correcting
I know,
you.
I know.
It's Stay Gold's pony
Thomas.
boy. God, say it right. Your worst fears imagined is Thomas correcting you and calling you short.
Thomas correcting me is constantly happening. I feel like it's that, or he's threatening to tell people that I don't like them from fear. It's like those are his two go-to.
You said it out loud. All right, cool.
I mean, he said it.
All right.
He
Well,
said it before.
let me rake over some of the things that were said in the episode or insider that Mason and Druckmann kind of go back to back on, and then we'll call it a night. But Mason says the only person that can save Ellie is Ellie with violence. And Druckmann says Joel saves Ellie not physically but emotionally. And the only question remains is, Mason says, something snaps in her. Now, is it permanent or can she find her way back? And that is an interesting question to hang off on because you think that it's kind of over from here on in, sort of. As a viewer, when you watch television shows, usually, we'll get on it, but like Pony Boy, and you think that it's over, but like, is it over, right? They keep reusing themes from the other episodes, and they keep on continuing. Oh,
They
boy.
do. It's like the great value version of
Of,
the Outsider.
why don't you explain what's happening right now to the audio
Stay
podcast?
golden. Stay golden, horsey kid, is what Sharon D said in the chat. I'm sorry. It just got me. It got me.
Well, I thought what got you was what Thomas says. I wonder who's taller, Dave or Ellie. Me. Wait,
it's Ellie.
wait.
I
I'm
bet.
I'm 5'2".
Wait, no.
I
gonna
bet
look it
Bella
up.
Ramsey's
I gotta
taller than
know.
you.
All right, no.
Fact check.
We
Fact
should-
check.
Okay,
Fact
you
check.
do that
Talk among-
while I do other things on the
Talk
show.
amongst yourselves. Talk amongst
Think
yourselves.
about something to talk about.
You know,
think about something
I just
to
want
talk
to
about.
explain
While
something to
I'm
Maddie
saying
right
this,
now.
think about
Maddie,
something.
we used to go not live. I mean, we used to go live, and then we used to do these pre-recorded episodes where we can get away with shit like this, but now we can't.
This is what people come here for.
For themselves. It's vanity. It's all vanity. Just saying.
Okay, you barely made it. She's 5'1".
Yeah, so I am taller.
Barely.
And I definitely can't fit in her wardrobe. I'll say that much. So thank you. It doesn't
She's
matter.
itty bitty.
Yeah, like me. I said it. It's like butter.
Yeah,
Sharon
I've only got an inch on you, so
That's what I was
I'm right
thinking
there.
throughout my editing session of like you're like, it's not gonna, no, you can't even fit in Tyrion's wardrobe, and I'm like editing. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, he's like 5'3". I'm like 5'2.5". So I'm like nipping at her heels just slightly. Sons of bitches. Anyway,
But I'm still taller. I'll take that half an inch.
That's what she said.
I made the look. Bridget completed the circle. Wait a minute, who's half an inch? Anyway. This is sorry, that was a big snort too. What happened there?
See, this is what people come here for, Dave. Don't
Summer
delude
after
yourself.
dark.
Don't delude yourself. This is the stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know.
This is the show.
There's nothing else I got here. The tank is empty, and I'm really there's so much this is gonna be edited out for the audio podcast, I think.
No.
But
Stop.
honestly,
Don't
I'm
edit this
like
out.
it.
I'm gonna say this
I
much.
like it.
The highlight of this episode seems to be Maddie's take on the scene.
Yeah. Thank
With-
God for Maddie.
It's the
'cause
take.
We had nothing.
How does that happen? With all my genius. Bye. See you later. Maddie does the show from here on in, and boy, she's a tyrant. You thought you had it bad with me, Maddie? Ooh, saying I'm like blowing her spot, and she just started watching us for the first time. This is how we rope you. See, I'm like David on the show. That's how I rope you, and I like neg you. What are those guys called? The guys the something artists, the pickup artists. I'm negging you, so like, don't watch us. Who cares? Is it working? Is it working?
Okay. No, I gotta read some of these comments. Thomas said that my camera had too much soda and it's blurry, which is a lie because I'm
But the
only
way
drinking
he
water.
spelled your name is amazing.
It's still bad. It's B-R-I.
Brijets.
Brijets.
Jets.
Jets. Jets. That would be cool. I wish it was spelled that way. Dave, I assume this comment is directed at you. Thomas says that you're old enough to be your grandfather. And I'm sure I have
So
several
true.
inches on Dave in more ways than one. Yikes. Charity said he wore an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot Speedo. It doesn't have the same effect.
Why didn't you complete? You can call a man's bathing suit a bikini. It's people say
You
that.
don't have a top
It's a speedo. Yeah, bikini's 2 pieces.
Banana hammock. Anyway,
Yes.
now you guys
Banana hammock.
are thinking of me in a banana hammock. It's already there. See, like Jonathan Swift said, I said it, now you're thinking it.
No, not until you said now you're picturing it. I literally was not.
I'm very
Maddie
hairy.
said,
Maddie's
I'm 5'6". You're making me feel like a giant.
really
And
though,
Thomas
Maddie?
said, Dave needs some inches. And then Maddie said, people be arguing with me in the comments of that TikTok for real. Really?
For real? Really?
Really?
Really? No, I get it because
Internet people are just mean.
when I was doing the notes for this episode, it does seem very interestingly clear that like they're out for blood, they want the vengeance and all that stuff. But not all of them were out for vengeance on Ellie. They really wanted to get the guy. So that's why I'm on board with your theory, Maddie. On a serious note, instead of trying to make you laugh.
I mean, I think Maddie's theory is a pretty good one. I honestly hadn't thought of it until then, but it's solid. Like, it makes sense, and she is a little girl, and they know what's going to happen to her if she's with creepy David. I said David. Calm down.
I'm just very insistent because I don't want this
and
getting
from
back.
now on, Dave's name is Creepy Dave.
What if Media Matters gets a hold of this clip?
Call him Creepy Dave.
Not that I'm important enough.
That's spelled CreepyDave.
It's
Creepy Dave.
S.B. Siobhan.
It's
XYMOUOP Mickey Mouse. Anyway, Yeah, and you're right, Maddie. They're entitled to having a different interpretation. But
They are.
That's us
but,
in a nutshell, by
it
the
might
way.
not be right.
Right. I'll bring up your theory and totally trash it, but like I'll be like, I'm glad you said it because some people might agree with it, but I didn't,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
ladies didn't.
they're entitled to have their opinion, but arguing about it isn't really
Yeah.
necessary.
But that's TikTok all over the place. I really try
I
my
know.
best to kind of like entreat some people. I don't really like because our podcast is all about hearing people out, and even if we disagree,
It is.
like liking the fact that you thought of it. So that's the essence of what we try to do. We're not like those negative podcasts that like to shit on everything. That's why we started this podcast. We started because we were really
'cause
sick,
We like watching fear,
We-
except for 7B
which was an exercise for me, but we did it.
in patience.
We did it. But, well, I mean, you know, for what we try to do, right? Okay, so in the official podcast, Thomas says, or Brett Sharondy says, James recognizes that Ellie can take his place, and he wants to eliminate the threat.
Oh.
That's cool. Well,
Wow.
interesting. Okay, I'm processing that actually right now. Sorry.
No, I know it's an interesting thought.
And just to not counterbalance that, because I don't want to say that that's wrong, because that's stupid. But I can easily see.
The showrunners are wrong.
Well, no. See, the thing is that, and it's very easy to kind of, even as somebody who's behind the scenes, because you have to understand, once the editing is done for these episodes, a lot of what they think is canon isn't canon because some of the stuff doesn't make the episode. So a lot of what they think is in the final cut doesn't always make it. So until Sharon had said that, that didn't seem apparent to me. Did it seem apparent to any of you, though?
No,
At all?
honestly, I didn't even think James had buy-in on this.
Well, he did seem like second in
He does
command.
say like I'm still a believer or whatever, but it didn't seem sincere to me. It seemed like
He was like, yeah, obviously.
like he was looking for a way to, not get rid of David, but he was willing to kind of, not listen to him. It seemed a little mutinous. So, because he was directly told by David, do not kill her.
Well, it's like Mason says
And then
also.
immediately was going to kill her.
Well, it's also like, okay, what Mason says is the first thing that he says is in the episode or Insider is that he says the theme of this episode is desperation. Like, you may still have the faith, but it's wearing you down. And maybe they whittled down some of the extraneous parts to kind of hone in more on James's and everybody else's desperation. Everybody looks awful, ragged, thin, weathered. They're on their last legs. And so who can blame them for following somebody that feels like they have the answers? Because of course a sociopath has the answers. Because that's all they have, is they have to have an answer. Otherwise, who are they? But I like that we can get something like that from Troy Baker and have a little bit more context maybe to something that they might have explored more had it made the cut. But I don't think it made the cut. I don't think that... It's not to say that he's wrong, but it's like he has inside information on something that could have been something that was explored more, but I don't think that that's his true motivation at the end of the day. But Maddie says, yeah, Blazy, I think that's part of it too. So okay, there's some legs. Thomas says nothing with Dave goes deeper. ... Except for that one thing. Maddie says, I didn't really feel that in the show until I mentioned it in the podcast. Yeah, I didn't either, though. But that's kind of why I said what I said, though, because I don't feel that made the cut. So, and I think most of these episodes are like that. And I also think, like, along the way, they may have thought some of these episodes are a bit long, and so we have to kind of trim the fat for the audiences that are tuning in. But now I just remembered a fact that I just read about a couple hours ago before we got on the podcast, which was... This week's episode broke all previous records in most live viewing streaming audience. It's 8.1 million viewers. So they just broke all their other records now. So I thought that was worth noting as well. And with a shorter episode, not like a longer episode too. It just hits all the right notes. But overall, did you guys feel really good about this episode? I just wish we should hit on that because we didn't really go into that in the post-watch live stream. Did it give you the things that you wanted? Because, like, let's go to Rachel. Do you feel like we're going somewhere, that we explored something, and that we're hitting the notes? Is your rating different this week?
Yeah, I really really like this episode. I know we touched on it earlier, but I didn't really comment on Joel's absence. I never felt like Joel was going to show up and save the day. I was very much looking forward to how Ellie was going to get herself out of the situation. In fact, when Sharon and I were watching it and Joel managed to take out like 3 guys while he was half dead, I'm like, really? Like the first guy, I'm like, okay, he caught him by surprise and he surprised the other guy. Like, I'm like, he seems to be getting lucky a lot, but whatever, I'll let it slide because, you know, what are the options? Him dying? I don't think so. But no, I didn't think he was going to come save Ellie, and I'm glad he didn't, honestly. I mean, I'm glad he showed up, you know, made it to where she was eventually, but no, I was ready for her to be this, you know, this badass that I think we kind of always expected her to be. And she got herself out of the situation, and I loved seeing that.
Right, and the fact that we could see that is in this contained episode, and which you could easily say, "Oh, it's like, oh, I don't like this. It's not them together. We're not moving anywhere." I know you're reading the chat, but I'm glad that you liked it. It shows that you can do that and still have something that's Rachel worthy of the stamp of approval. But what about you, Sharon? Sorry, Sharon D's not here. What about you, Bridget?
Hi, I'm Bridget.
Spelled BRIGJEIT apostrophe upside down exclamation point. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
And a 5 at the end.
Right.
So I felt like the video game storyline was better for this portion.
Why? Why?
It built more tension in that way by gaining the trust and then losing it. I just thought it was better.
I see.
But part of that is there was infected in it, and there were no infected in this episode. And I'm like annoying now. I'm like one of those people that watch Walking Dead and was like, there's no
walkers.
in this
They're not
episode."
threatening anymore.
Meh. But like but it is kind of hard to believe that we haven't seen like hardly any.
Right. In the last
with the exception of the giant Sarlacc pit of
The bloater?
infected and the bloater. I mean, with the exception of that, we've hardly seen anything.
Right, and then the
And
flashback,
that's
right?
been a little upsetting to me. And I get it. We're really far in, right? But this would be a genuine, we've talked about some of the science behind this, right? And this would be like a genuine concern. This would be in everything. It would get into food, and if it can transmit to people, then can you just get it from being around other people and breathing it in? And I know they're not doing the spore thing in this, but it's hard to believe that there's just no infected. We go to a college campus, no infected. I mean, like, those things are just hard for me to believe. So I'm having a little bit of a difficult time, but I had said this previously that I'm just not getting as much tension as I wanted. It's been better. This latter half of the episodes has been a lot better in terms of tension building, but something's just missing for me.
Right. Well, and they chose to
Infected.
focus on something that
Infected are missing.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
in the last episode, at the beginning, when they reach the house and they go over the neighborhood, you do hear one in the background, but you never get to see it, right? So
Yeah.
in this episode, right before we get to the deer, you do hear that kind of clickery, animal-y noise, but you feel like, okay, it's an infected. There's an infected nearby. You see like a little patches of what are definitely leaves because they're not mycelial bits, right? But you're like, oh, there's an infected. She's going to encounter infected. No infected. So I feel like they're getting ready for like the last episode. You know, I could be wrong, but we may get our wish and we may regret that wish. But who knows? Who knows with this show? But I will say, going back to something that I've said when The Walking Dead was on, I never really cared about the walkers as much. And then Rachel goes, "How dare you?" And then I'll go like, "Okay, calm down." And then, but for me, it was always the human drama. It was always,
Well,
it's out
the
there.
background.
Right.
It's the background that we're coming from. Like I come
Exactly.
from a horror background, so like this irks me in a way because I wanted a horror
It's
show.
not what I paid my good money
And
for.
it's not quite where I want it to be. And you know, you wanted a drama, and you're getting that.
Yeah.
Nailed it on the drama for sure.
Right.
I was just missing.
Is that your dog? Is that a sneeze?
Oh, are you okay?
She's infected.
She
There's your
is.
infection.
She's a quarter pup.
It's happening. A quarter pup. Oh, that's so cute. Half mushroom, half dog.
You said it out loud. Okay. But going
so
back to
I
the
just-
point,
I don't know.
yeah, you.
It's
Well, that's
okay. I'm not hating on this show either. I feel like people probably hear my opinion and they're like, God, this bitch. She's always bitching about this show and how it's not that great. Like, it's good. It's good. It's just it's missing something for me. That's all.
Right. And for me, as for my part, I'm really sucked in to the show in a way that I'd never expected to be. To the point where it's gotten me to not rethink certain things, but to, which is good. It makes me reevaluate the kind of person I would be in the apocalypse, and it's much worse than what I think I would be in the Walking Dead zombie apocalypse. So even more dead meat, basically fungal meat, whatever. But let me read some comments for a sec. Okay. Thomas says some of these episodes are way too long. 45 minutes is greater than 3 hours. Maddie says I liked it, even if there were some rough and upsetting moments. That's something we said at the beginning of the episode. I was just like, I don't really want to watch this for the notes. It's really bothering me. And Maddie says that penicillin was doing work, she says, which is another thing we could talk about that I don't really want to, because that requires a lot of suspension of disbelief. Yeah.
Yeah, way too much. And
We're just accepting
I was
it.
very
We're just
upset
accepting
about,
it.
Yeah, we're just gonna take it. We're just gonna go. Yep. Okay. Sure.
That's how it works.
Sure.
Moving
Yeah.
on. And Sharon D says, rightfully so, even at 10%, Joel is better than 5 dudes at 100. But then, you know, we talk a lot about how is Woozy Joel going to face off against these people who haven't eaten too. And it's an argument that we brought up right from the second or first episode of The Walking Dead
Haven't
season 11.
Eaten?
Well, they haven't really eaten at all. They're like starving. They're on rations.
We just watched them eat.
No, but they're still on rations. They've traveled a long distance. Well, I don't have a long distance, but whatever. They've traveled a far distance, and they're not at their peak performance too. They're withered. They're 160 pounds when wet. I mean, so it's like this is the same argument we made for one of Maggie's wardens. Remember how the big guy that was ramming against the door in the beginning of season 11, and I was like, the guy's like 300 pounds easy, and but dude, he hasn't eaten. They're all starving, so like they're not, you know, even Joel, sure, but whatever. Joel at 10%, I believe it.
He ate that crumb that she left on him.
Right, whatever that cornflake was, or chicken pork rind skin thing.
It looks like a chunk of chicken wing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The kind that you leave out
Just the
overnight,
breading.
and then you
It
wait
was
till
like
the
a
next
breading.
evening.
Like a cracklin. Like
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Which is, you know, nutrient dense. Maddie says Joel got that dog in him, and Charity says
Like
that was
one-
some compound
the
V
one true
penicillin.
T-dog.
It was penicillin. Thomas says it was a penicillin / amphetamine Wix. There should have been an Oculus VR TLoU game. There are some videos that attempt to bring The Last of Us to like a VR concept, and some people have played it, and I've seen videos of it, but I'm not convinced. Maddie says, I feel like you could say the amount of people Joel killed while half dead in the game is even more unbelievable than the 3 in this show. Point taken. Which, okay, kind of goes to how efficient he is at doing this sort of thing. But Thomas says, Brigitte, maybe they all wore masks and social distance to flatten the curve. Blazy says, Frankie disagreed because he has a canine seps and a corgi seps. Thomas says
Pretty
it's
good
missing paint
sign.
can size soda glasses. Ooh. Maddie says malnourished. Oh, and she thinks it's jerky, but I think it's chicken skin.
Human jerky.
It's human jerky. Ellie was a cannibal the whole time, so was Joel by proxy. All right. Well, I think we've run out of gas. Rachel's about to fall asleep. And if you like what you've heard, head over to ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead. 5 stars and an eggplant is all we need to know that you love us. But tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. Tell us what we missed. Please, for the love of God, for this episode, tell us what we missed, because I know it was a lot. But remember to tell us after every episode. And if you really like what we're doing and you want to keep in touch, because we're that kind of hostess with the most. I don't know what I'm saying here right now. Head on over to either ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead. You don't have to buy us a coffee. You don't have to tip us on Ko-fi. You don't have to join a membership tier. All you should try doing is following us, because it's free, first of all. Second, you get the inside track of some of the things that we're planning in the background, even if you can't always take a part in it. You'll see when new shop items come up that are absolutely free to download. The Linda Ronstadt, Henry Chapin mashup tribute to them. You should get it. It's in the shop, the Ko-fi shop. But either way, if you do decide to tip us, you will get 30 days of supported back content on Ko-fi. And if you join a membership tier on either Patreon or Ko-fi, you'll get instant access to our Discord, at least, the unedited episode recordings, and our undying love, as well as all of that for as little as $1 a month. And
We're cheap.
you're off to the races. And the upper tiers, obviously, will get the credits at the end of this episode on the audio podcast, because we're live right now. We don't have the capability. But and a whole host of other perks that even the survivors tier get to join us on these episodes and break them down with us. The gauntlet has been thrown. In any case, I've been your host, David Cameo, and I was joined by Cosmom09, Rachel Burt, Sharon D, a.k.a. Blazy Gardner, now in the chat, Thomas O'Mara in the chat, and Bridget, Punky Brewster, ko-fi.com/Punky Brewster. That's PUNKY BRUISETER. We're done. We're just done for today. And we've broken down in the best way possible the penultimate season finale of The Walking Dead. The Last of Us is inaugural season, titled "When We Are in Need, We Should Probably Quit."
Yeah.
We
By
are
the
in
way,
need.
Joel called her baby girl. I forgot. That's so sweet. That was his
pretty
nickname for
sweet.
Sarah.
See?
Anyway, bye, baby girls.
We would have caught that and said it on ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead.
Well, now I said it, so
Now you don't have to. Now you don't have to rate us at all.
shut it.
Shut it.
No, rate us.
No, now we've berated them, so they won't rate. You should berate us at ko-fi. Never mind.
Baby girls.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you very soon. We love you, and thank you for coming on, Maddie, Thomas, and what was his name? What? Walking Dead
Walking Dead Eternal.
Eternal. I get way dumb after dark. See you later. Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Bye, babies.